Let's get started. So today we have a very special, very exciting topic: AI agents, analytical agents, and we have two very special guests, Uday and Dominik from Conductor. They're going to talk about the data infrastructure that AI agent needs and how to eliminate hallucination, so you can have your analytical agents good enough, accurate enough to serve your end customers directly. And then we're gonna have a demo in the end too. So Korea, hello Kim again. Now, Uday and Dominik, do you guys want to introduce yourself a little bit? Dominik.
Of course. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Dominik. I'm the director of the data pillar at Conductor, right? And I'm happy to share some insights on the journey that we went through by redesigning our data infrastructure to serve high performance needs, and especially this is what Uday is going to talk about, to surface data for agentic use cases through MCP.
Thank you so much, Dominik and Uday.
Hey everyone. I'm Uday Rajanna from Conductor on the data platform team. I'm the principal engineer on the data pillar, and super excited to be on this call with you all. But
thank you so much, Uday. And now let's get started. The stage is yours, Dominik.
Okay, thank you, Sida. Okay, so hello everyone. Let's look at the agenda for today. So first of all, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to Conductor, like who we are, what do we do, and then I will set the stage, would give you some context on the transformation of our data architecture. So like how it started, what was the challenge, and what was what we finally came up with in order to support some of the use cases and requirements that we defined, right? And then in the second part, Uday will take you through one specific use case on top of our data infrastructure, which is the agentic analytics with MCP. So basically how we created the journey of the data from our data platform to the MCP surface. And then we will end it with a quick live demo and Q&A. So first of all, who is Conductor, right? So Conductor is a New York-based company with about 240 employees, established in 2006, coming from a SAO background. But today we serve multiple digital marketing needs, such as AO and content creation and optimization. So Conductor is the only end-to-end enterprise AO platform built on the industry's most complete data engine, and that data engine is what we want to dive a little bit into today, right? So Conductor empowers teams to increase authority and visibility in AI and traditional search. So basically, we help our customers to get their brands found across any AI and search surface. And Conductor is also the only platform powering the full content lifecycle from insights creation to measurement. So in our platform, we have different products. So Conductor Intelligence is the reporting, which unifies our customers' AI visibility search and website performance with business analytics. We have Conductor Creator, which is all about content. So it helps generate, optimize, and scale high-quality content that performs in traditional search and LLMs. We have the Conductor Monitoring, which protects your brand authority and website around the clock. So it's basically a monitoring and alerting on top of your website. And we have the Conductor Data, which is a unified intelligence layer that powers modern analytics and AI systems to deliver trusted real-time AO and SEO data. So it's basically the data surface, right? So we are proud to have many well-known customers, and we are happy that they trust Conductor. So now let me take you through our journey like how we transformed our data infrastructure to set the stage for Uday's presentation of an actual use case on top of our data infrastructure. So first of all, let's start with the challenge. So like when we started with this journey, we identified some limitations of our architecture. So historically, data pipelines were owned by the feature teams within Conductor. So that means we had like several data pipelines, but no centralized and standardized consolidated data layer. And this, because of this, we had several challenges, such as the growing complexity, such as cross teams dependencies, and also cross-domain analysis was like kind of hard to do, and it required a lot of manual effort. So we thought a little bit about how do we want to build our new data infrastructure, and we had some key objectives in building this. So we wanted to create a single source of truth for all data sets in order to be able to combine the data as we want, to join different data sets, and also standardize the modeling and ingestion patterns. We wanted to democratize the access so that every person in the company can actually access the data that they need. We also wanted to make the data to our customers available as soon as possible. So also remove limitations in the data journey, right? Removing architectural blockers. And then we eventually we want to reduce the time to market for innovation. So this is the very high level view on our architecture that we like what we started with, right? So we created a centralized data lake on top of Hudi, which represents the single source of truth for all of our data assets. So the data pipelines basically land the data in the data lake, and on top of the data lake, we have query engines that surface the data to downstream customers, right? So we have and we have the analytics use cases, and we have more real-time use cases. I will dive a little bit in more detail on these. So the data lake itself, we like the data travels through the data lake in 3 different zones, while the raw and modeled zone is mandatory for every data set, and the intermediate zone is optional. So in the raw zone, we store the raw data, right, unprocessed as we get them from our sources to serve debugging, auditing, and replaying needs. So basically, from that stage on, we can replay the data in its rawest form in case downstream something is not as expected. So, for example, there's some parsing issues along the line, so we can always replay the data and make sure we have a seamless user experience. Then the intermediate zone serves as a mid pipeline transformation storage, if you want so, that can be used for tracking, troubleshooting, and step-by-step data tracking. And eventually, the data will land in the modeled zone, which basically represents the source of truth for all of our data assets. So here we have a contract to the rest of the company, and from here all of our downstream consumers are served. So now we identified some use cases that we on top of our data lake, right? So one is like business intelligence. So that's the analytics part, right? So this is basically the OLAP use cases, right? So we want to surface data for analytical, mostly internal use cases. Then we have the integration use case, which basically means we have synchronous and asynchronous access patterns to our data with like different purposes, and having different performance requirements. So you can think about like an API on top of our data lake. And we have the agentic use case. This is what Uday will talk in a moment about. So here we basically need curated, high-quality data sets for autonomous agentic use cases, such as MCP, for example. So surface the data for agentic use cases. And of course, we also need to serve our application, right? So the Conductor platform with data. And here we have high concurrency and sub-second latency requirements to provide the data to our downstream workloads. So the key challenge for 3 of these use cases, the integration, the agentic workloads, and the application use case, is we need to deliver sub-second real-time query performance on relatively large data sets. So our solution to that problem was a high-performance consumption layer. So we do not hook up the query engines directly on the data lake, but we have an intermediate consumption layer where we model the data specific to the use case. So that means we decouple the data platform concerns from the use case concerns. So the teams that are owning the use case, they can model and slice and dice the data as they need it, while the data platform teams can provide the data for more like in a more general purpose way and model the data close to the domain basically. So here, but here we definitely have like high performance requirements. So we need a high performance query engine, and we need support for complex joins and aggregations. So from the idea to implementation, it took a while. We did a lot of research. We tested a lot of different scenarios and architectures, and finally we decided to partner with CelerData on this initiative. And I can give you a few reasons why we did that. So first of all, we relatively fast we identified a strategic alignment with CelerData. So the moment we started talking to them, they were very supportive and they were very eager to be part of our journey here. So we had actual developers from CelerData involved in the process, helping us optimize the queries, optimize the setup. We basically found a true partnership and not just another vendor. So this was very important to us, also because it's like a win-win situation. Because CelerData basically was very eager to implement our feature request, and we were providing a lot of feedback back to the CelerData platform. Then the bring your own cloud model or architectural model that CelerData supports was very in favor of what we wanted to have, because this ensures that we 100% own our data and we do not give it to a third party to manage our data. Then with all of the support and the performance optimizations that we did over time, we had proven that we can meet our performance requirements for our core use cases. So we basically locked into that partnership at that point in time. And we also have like an exceptional performance to cost ratio, which compared to other solutions that we tested. So now right now we have production workloads running on top of this architecture. So the impact of this is we foster product innovation. So we have now flexible use cases running in production that overcome a lot of the limitations that we were facing previously. So, for example, we did in order to meet our performance needs, we did a pre-computation of of reports, and this limited the customer experience. So with the new architecture, we don't have this anymore. I will just dive a little bit into one of these use cases in a moment. We also eliminated hard product. So by this, we eliminate the hard product limits at the data layer. And with the support of CelerData, we unlocked real-time analytics on top of our data lake. Another aspect is we have a significantly reduced data latency. So from the moment we retrieve and process the data until the customer sees the data, the time significantly reduced because we removed a lot of the blockers along the way. So we are coming from where usually it took like a few days for our customers to see the data to serving the data within hours. And this is also like we could even do it faster, but like this really depends on the needs of the specific use case. So that's always a cost versus performance trade-off. We also democratized the data access, so teams can now query the data like that they need when they need it, with standard SQL support, smart query optimization, and easy maintenance. Also like through the CelerData Cloud, this is working very well. And eventually, we have a faster time to market. So we decoupled the architecture and removed cross-team bottlenecks. Letting basically the teams ship faster, right? So the CelerData, bring your own cloud architecture helped with this a lot. And to give you an example, last year we started a new product initiatives, which is the AI search performance, which is strategically a very important product for us. From the idea to the first version that we shipped to some of our customers, we were able to ship it in less than 2 months from creating the net new data pipelines to surfacing the data to the high performance consumption layer to the application. So this was really mind blowing, like how fast we could deliver the data, the product. So this is one of the use cases that currently runs on top of that high performance consumption layer. So here you see the keywords report in our software, which is you can think about it like the customer is tracking a certain set of keywords, and all of these keywords have about 100 rankings, right? So we have customers that are tracking like thousands of keywords, right? In order to provide this feature, we basically need to query the entire data set, right? So our data is not like partitioned by user or something like this. Like we just have the entirety of the data, and the queries go on the entire keywords data set. And the value unlocked here is basically that the customers can slice and dice the data as they want. They can, for example, create like select any time range, like looking at the data historically. And as you can imagine, there are a lot of data points that we basically need to surface in order to provide this historical overview. So in this case, we have like a 4 months period, but we can like surface this up to 2 years. But you can also deep dive into the data. So you can look at the nitty-gritty details of every single row in the data set, right? You can explore the data. You can compare 2 different points in time and then compare the different data points to basically make decisions, right? Also, this is a screenshot from our AI search performance feature. It's basically the same use case, but on a different data set, which allowed us to ship the AI search performance feature really fast. And This is my last slide. Just a screenshot from the CelerData dashboard to show you some numbers here. So we basically have second to sub-second query performance on larger data sets constantly. So this basically allows us to unlock this value to our customers. Okay, with that being said, I'll hand it over to Uday to give you insights on one specific use case on top of our data infrastructure, basically like our approach to surface data for agentic analytics with MCP.
Hey all. Thank you, Dominic. Yeah, specifically, I just want to walk you guys through the use case where marketers need to understand, for example, how is my brand performing in AI search results? And what are people actually saying about me? What is the sentiment of my brand, positive or negative? What topics and prompts are driving my AI visibility? What is actually causing my visibility to drop? And how do I compare against competitors and so on, right? And there are a bunch of ways to accomplish this. Like you could go to UI dashboards, which is still, very much a workflow that's used today. But a lot of times you lose flexibility where, you would either have to go to a data analytics person to say, hey, can you construct this performance report for me? Or dig through UI charts and Excel sheets and figure out how do I answer all these questions we talked about, right? Like what's my brand market share? What's my sentiments and all that? So it's very effort heavy. So what this use case does is basically you don't have to spin up your own dashboards. You don't need to write SQL. Just have to ask the LLM or a chat interface. Just ask questions of your data to gain insights, right? So that's the use case in here that we're specifically trying to solve, where agents can interact with our MCP server and the insights tools that we expose to ask questions of your data and get all these answers. So the MCP you probably have heard of already, and a lot of people are products are coming out with tools for that. The current approach, at least the state of the art today, has been most implementations leave a lot of the heavy lifting to the LLM, right? So you have these thin data pipes through APIs, which return some raw or aggregated data. And then you hope you pass that data to the agent or LLM, and you hope it can stitch data together, produce accurate analytics, and so on. But there is a problem with that because, at least in today's state of LLMs, and this may change in the future, but in today's current state, you really can't trust this at scale because there's a lot of hallucinations. You can't reproduce this across multiple runs. Different runs could produce different results. Even if you feed a ton of context metadata, if you get it right 8 out of 10 times, and twice it's wrong, you lose trust with customers and customer-facing analytics specifically. You can't be. We're mostly right. You have to be right all the time, right? So precision data analytics, AI alone is not enough for such use cases. So this is why what we built was at Conductor is split reasoning architecture. So what we mean by that is, essentially we offload the right reasoning model onto the right platform. So LLMs basically are good at understanding language. They understand user intent. They're good at reasoning probabilistically. But stitching data and being accurate and precision data analytics, you can't guarantee that result with LLMs. So for that second piece, we offloaded that responsibility to the data API, which is well suited for a deterministic reasoning approach and workflow, where depending on what the users are asking from the LLM, we can dynamically morph our response from the API and give you fully baked insights. So it's not like just giving you raw data or even derived data and hope that the LLM stitches. Like if you ask what's my brand market share for this specific topic and against my competitors, it will complete all of that workflow, return the actual insight back to the LLM, and the LLM can chart it, right? But the LLM itself is not doing the data stitching, which is what typically leads to problems. So that's why we have the split reasoning architecture to split the responsibilities for LLM where it's really strong at, and the data API where it's really strong at. So that's what we mean by this approach. But also, none of this would actually work without a proper backbone, right? So you can't have an API itself do a lot of the executing queries against data models, against a very large amount of data, like terabytes worth of data, and providing sub-second analytics, doing complex aggregations, joins, computation, right? So that's where we rely on CelerData. It really is key to our synchronous response architecture for the data API for that specific use case. This is CelerData's Bring Your Own Cloud, under which we use the Starox query engine, is really critical to make sure we can run these analytics at scale for the enormous volume of data we have across SERPs, AI search, page level data. Like if you're familiar with the Conductor platform, there's technical SEO data, SERP data, AI search data, performance metrics from GSE, Google Analytics. All of this to be able to do sub-second aggregations, analytics, and which Dominik shared in the previous slides, like the performance metrics. That's really key to making this work, right? So on that note, we'll kick off a demo. Let me know if you can see this screen, Sita. I'm assuming this is visible. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. So here's a so we have heard about MCP. We talked about, okay, we are doing split reasoning architecture, but what does that actually look like in practice, right? So what we have done here is added a tool, an MCP server that is hooked up to our Conductor MCP server, mcpuniversal.conductor.com. And by the way, if folks are curious, we also have a publicly listed app in ChatGPT now, which we'll be updating shortly, which is under the productivity section with the Conductor app. But what we'll be showing you today is more of the latest MCP tools that we're continuously improving. So here's like an actual walkthrough for this MCP and agentic workflow looks like, right? So I've added Conductor Universal, Conductor MCP server. We can name it whatever we choose here. Typically the interaction is, okay, what tools do I have? What it does behind the scenes is it hits the MCP server, which in turn calls our data API and provides the available tools. Like, what do these tools do? Like, we have citation insights. What are the use cases it can support? Here's brand insights. What use cases can this support? For example, I can break down, I can figure out what people are saying about my brand, what sentiment do people express about my brand, based on the sources who are citing these sentiments, right? Like we can go figure that piece out as well. So I ask, what are my accounts? We'll do a live prompt as well, but just for the sake of the demo, we'll walk through capabilities that we have preset here, or pre-created these prompts. So here, I'll ask, okay, what accounts do I have access to? This is basically like an account management tool. It's pretty, nothing too fancy here. We just return the accounts that are available to you as a customer of Conductor. And then we could say, okay, let's use this particular account, right? 13226. Under the hood, what's actually happening is this MCP server, this is where the split reasoning comes into play. So the LLM understands this prompt and has the probabilistic reasoning to say, I know what the data API's capabilities are. It has pre-fed me a bunch of metadata about what each tool can do. The user is asking me this question. Based on what I know about the data API, what can I call the data API with? And the LLM figures out, okay, I need to send these specific parameters to the data API. And the data API then knows what to do with these parameters. And that's where the deterministic reasoning comes into play on the API, which takes these specific parameters and returns a response. I won't go through the whole response metadata because that just looks like JSON gibberish. But once you return this actual insight, so this is a fully packaged insight in that response. And all the LLM has to do is generate, what it's really great at, like this wall of text with the actual insight that it got from the data API. And it says, okay, this is my comparisons, this is my competitor, this is my market share, this is how many mentions I have. And then this is where the fun part with LLM comes, where it has these key observations and it'll give you further insights and say, okay, this is my own visibility, this is competitor benchmarking, and so on. But it's not making this stuff up, right? Because it's using that data from the API to figure this out. If you compare this against another, like typical implementations, what would happen is you would see a bunch of tool calls made to an API. It returns thin data. And then you will see a bunch of tool calls happening, like a fan out query, and then get all the data responses from an API, like a standard API, and then stitch that data together. And you kind of hope and pray that the analytics are right. And that's the differentiation here. At least, like to argue that that's a differentiation where you can, to the decimal, this has to be accurate to the source of truth. In our case, like we compare it against our front-end app. So more stuff you can ask, like what is my brand market share? Then it'll tell you the comparison between your brand and competitors. What is my citation market share? It'll call the tool again. So here you can see another, based on what the user asked, it knows, oh, I actually need to call a different tool with different parameters and say citation granularity is domain. And then the API responds with actual insights here in the response. It's not just a thin data pipe. It has done a bunch of work behind the scenes to return that insight. And then the LLM just has to display that. Here's another use case where, very free form, somebody may want to know, what are people actually saying about me, both positive and negative, by top 50 sources? Like a typical use case, like why is this useful in an agentic framework versus UI, right? So let's say somebody had to go to this UI. We're showing your Conductor app, which is also a lot of great features here. But for example, you'd have to kind of dig through the exploration. You would need to figure out, okay, these statements for these domains, it takes a bit of work, right? You might have to export that data or maybe do some filtering and kind of figure out that analysis yourself. Like here we have a word cloud, but LLMs are specifically good for such use cases where, so based on this prompt, it called the API, it changed the parameters. The API knows what to do with those parameters. It morphs its response accordingly. So it's a very dynamic API that can change its response based on what you ask. And the deterministic reason happens there, returns the data, and then the LLM gives you this wonderful wall of text, which is pretty useful because it can churn through all those sentiment snippets and say, organize it by, oh, this is the positive themes. You are an enterprise SEO leader. We're analyzing this against Conductor. Positive things people are saying about Conductor, your enterprise SEO leader, great content intelligence and optimization. Neutral to negative themes, right? So what is a perception? Hey, it's great for big enterprises and so on. Pricing sensitivity and so forth, right? And so it'll also tell you by source level breakdown. But to actually prove to you guys that this is not, so let's just take, okay, let's do this for a different date, end date 2026, or you can even, freeform, whatever, right? So what this does, I meant different date, not data, but maybe it does figure that out. So what this should do is it probabilistically reasons about this prompt. It's working, doing its LLM thing. It calls the tool, says, oh, I know what to do with this prompt. I need to call the LLM, the API with these prompts, parameters. API knows what it needs to do. And it returned the data. And so here's the interesting thing, right? It remembered the previous context. This is what LLMs are great at. So it remembered the previous context. I'm still doing sentiment analysis. This person just asked me for a different end date. So I still need the same thing. So it should have changed. Yeah, exactly. So it changes the end date, but keeps the other parameters. And then it gives you a breakdown, right? So, and so forth. So you can also filter by topics. You can do a lot of other interesting things. So everything you see here, you can do by category, ethics, experience, show me this data by search engine and so on. And we're adding a lot of capabilities to our tool, but yeah. And the idea is these numbers should be to the decimal accurate to, for example, in a Conductor app, you should expect that to match 1-to-1. And yeah, so that's all for the demo, at least I had.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for the amazing presentation. And now let's start the Q&A. Actually, I have a few questions I want to ask first. And for everyone, if you have a question, please send them in the chat or in the Q&A on the right-hand side. Okay. So my first question is, how do you handle the case where the API doesn't support whatever the question is asking? Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, so if I say, for example, in the same demo, if I ask it, some question completely unrelated to API capabilities, the expected response should be, we don't have that data in the API, but typically what these LLMs do is they'll clarify and say, I can synthesize this from what I know, but this data is not available in the API. It's not always 100% guaranteed. But what you can do with as a user is when you use MCP, you can, like as we were showing in the demo, we can go back to that slide or the demo again if needed, but you can figure out if the tool, exactly. So if the tool was called here, you will know that this response was received from the API, right?
Yeah.
But if you say, okay, what is, I'm just making something, what is the latest news, geopolitical news, you know?
Do you put it really standard data?
I'm just making up a random example, but this should, so now you can see it gives you a response. This is the cool thing about an LLM. You don't have to be using our tools. You can kind of mix and match our tool responses with your own analysis. And then you can see here it didn't call the tool, so you kind of know that, this is nothing to do with an API. But if there's something specific in the API where I say, show me, it should tell you that the API actually doesn't have the specific tool.
And then when it's like through the API, you know the answer is dependable, right?
Yeah, right. But this is also where MCP comes into play, right? So MCP basically provides the context to the LLM when to call a tool and when not to call. Basically, it needs to match the context of when I call a tool to the actual prompt that was asked, right? So that's why MCP is in the middle of that that communication, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Exactly. And in the audience, do ask, can you try a question in your demo that is totally not related? Yeah, that I think
we just did that. Yeah. I just want to add some more things that I came across when I tested the solution. Is that sometimes what happens is if you ask it a question and the response is like I don't have that data for this for the parameters that you gave me. Let me try different parameters, right?
Yeah.
So the LLM decides on its own, I'm trying new parameters, right? And then they go ahead and execute it, right? So sometimes they ask you, shall I execute this? Sometimes they just go ahead and execute. So when you build, for example, an agent on top of this is the scenario that you need to cater for, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. That makes sense. Yeah, so just build the tools and have the LLM like decide a lot of things, run like agentic loops.
And this, to Dominik's point, this prompt, for example, right? Because we have pre-fed the LLM with the context metadata about each of these tools, it knows that, actually this tool has these parameters, and that's why the probabilistic reasoning is amazing with LLMs. But it can't do deterministic data stitching, and that's where the API will do. We just supply all the metadata for it to know what to translate this to different parameters. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And my next question is, like with this being like so powerful and actually like being able to give results that are actually dependable, right? With like actually absolute like almost no hallucination, right? Do you see this thing like replacing dashboard altogether? This AI powered, agentic assistant, this kind of conversational style thing, like replacing dashboards altogether? And what is like your vision? What is like where is the product going forward?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is kind of a discussion that you see all over the place now, right? So will now the different products and the applications, will they surface their UI inside the LLMs, the chat experience, right? Do we actually need apps at all, right? Stuff like that. Like my take on this is, at least with the current state, I don't think that the need for accurate business reporting will go away, right? So especially like in our space, like digital marketing, like you invest some money into like SEO and AO optimization. You basically want to know what is the like you want to exact reporting, right? On like what do I get for my investment, right? So while the LLM can surface this data, but you can never be 100% sure if everything is exact to the last decimal, right? So and I think this is where like you basically have a need, like companies have a need for reporting to create like comprehensive and accurate business reports, and this is where our reporting feature serves that need. While the LLM, I see more for like, I mean, you can do reporting for it, but you need to be aware that there might be some slight discrepancies, and you when you want to build a product inside an LLM or inside an experience like ChatGPT, then you also need to do a lot of QA on your on the results, right? So it's kind of it's a lot of effort. While when you are in the deterministic space, like we have an actual report, you surface the data from the database, you combine the data, whatever, you do your calculations, and then you present the report. Like this is way less effort on the on the quality side of the house.
Definitely for a lot of like mission critical, we still want like deterministic, and this is for like ad hoc exploratory.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, just to add to Dominik's point, I think we can, we can still get super deterministic with this LLM interface, like we were, talking about. Like that's a whole reasoning for this, whole reason for the split reasoning. But like just to add to Dominik's point, we can get precision analytics here. I think that's just a differentiation of our data API, but traditional LLMs with MCP won't do that, or at least as far as we know today. Maybe there are some new solutions, but the other use cases, different users have different needs, right? Like some have this agentic sort of need, but dashboards are still a pretty big need for different customer base. Like the interfaces may change, but the actual visuals, like the dashboards, that's like much faster than like a prompt based exploratory analysis. Like if you're an expert user of your dashboard, you can kind of click and get it at a glance, versus like here you have to prompt, get an answer, prompt, get an answer. So still like
and the nature for digital marketing, a lot of that is dashboards, right? The nature of the answer is best presented on a dashboard. A lot of it too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do hear, there are like still like a lot of gaps in terms of like powering a lot of the applications with just LLMs, right? There's still gaps that exist.
Just to add one more aspect, I think there's also a cost aspect, right? So imagine you have an agent running all the time, or running at certain points in time, creating your dashboard for you through surfacing through LLMs, through MCP. Like there are a lot of tokens burned on that journey, right? Versus you just go to your solution, get your business report, and you're done, right?
Yeah. Oh, and there's another question from the audience. Can we just ask AI to create a dashboard with natural language? Like whatever is that on the Conductor side, app, UI, that dashboard, is it going to be powered by LLM?
I think so. Claude does a lot of this with once you return it like reliable data. Claude, for example, we didn't show Claude, but the same MCP server can be used across agentic surfaces, right? Like Claude, ChatGPT, Cowork, Copilot. The same MCP tools should work across all of these. So it's agent agnostic, right? What we're showing, but Claude can generate those dashboards. But I think again, I mean, of course, you can ask AI to create dashboards like Claude does that today. Like, so now you can say, oh, draw me a pie chart. Like even here, you can say, draw me a pie chart of this representation, and it'll spit it out. Claude is way better at this. Like ChatGPT, I think is still does. They're improving it, but the dashboarding solutions are not as great. But as you can see,
you just tell it to visualize. It's gonna write like a Python code, and
Yeah,
use like
exactly.
one layer
Yeah,
to yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
I think the question is on my side a little curious about like the dashboards on Conductor, right? Do you think LM like this approach can produce a pie chart that is like high quality enough that lives within the Conductor, the app?
Um, so as I was saying, I don't know if there's time to look at Claude, but Claude is amazing at dashboarding.
Yeah,
So you just give it the data. You can even create like an entire PPT report, PowerPoint.
yeah,
If you use Claude Cowork, it does a whole agentic. You put in an AO audit command, which we tried recently, it'll spit it out. But to Dominik's point earlier, there's always going to be like a use case where you don't want to burn tokens through an LLM to generate dashboards. You want fast, a click button, reporting versus
yeah,
like prompt response, prompt response, or agent takes like 10 seconds to generate a chart. And it's compute intensive, and Cloud Cowork kind of spins up your own virtual machine and your own laptop, and versus like to Dominik's point earlier, you have a report in a dashboard, you just click it, it's already pre-set up for you by the enterprise solution. So it's really use case dependent. I
yeah,
think at
yeah.
least
That
in
makes
our
Yeah.
case,
I mean, it would also be kind of a weird use case for us as a provider of that dashboard. So why would you go through like MCP, LLM, and all of that if you can just stitch directly to the database and surface this,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, I think more of it, it's like generating a SQL that's underneath like the dashboards, right? Actually have like another user do another case study of that, right? So it's a like literally like a customer facing dashboard, but the SQL is like
yeah,
it's like
okay, yeah. I
underneath.
mean, this would be some kind of like I don't know, ask your data feature or something like this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely an interesting use case that we have been thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
From
if
the
I can.
audience comment. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Uday.
Yeah, I mean, if there's time, we can showcase like a Claude dashboarding solution on the same MCP server, but I don't know if there'll be enough. Yeah. Yeah.
From the audience, there's a comment. I would be amazed if Cloud could create a live dashboard that's continuously updating in your real time via MCP. Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, it does do that actually.
Yeah,
It does do that. I'll try to like while we're talking, I'll try to create something
yeah,
up.
yeah. Of course, of course. Next question from me. Yeah, we do have, we do still see gaps, with like building this agentic architecture, right? So if I give you like a magic wand, you can swing and any problem you can solve. What is the one thing that you want to solve?
I mean, the biggest problem in LLMs and the AI world today are hallucinations, right? So
Yeah,
this is where all of the QA comes into place. Why you need
yeah,
like to make the effort to write to have sophisticated eval pipelines and all of that. So if I can pick one thing, then get rid of the hallucinations.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's like the entire presentation, right? After you figure out the infrastructure, the database, right, and all of the other things is try to eliminate, the inaccuracy, the hallucination. That make a lot of sense, and that's too, what I hear from other users, that's building similar things is, like my LM cannot find the table. It cannot like figure out which join key, right? Which key to join on, right? And cannot understand like that column is it percentage or is it not percentage, right? It's integer, those like dumb questions. That's why, like building all of the context around it, building all of the guardrails, like what you guys are doing. This is, what actually gonna bridge the gap, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, the quality of the results that you see highly depend on the environment that you use, right? So,
Yeah,
as Uday mentioned, like Claude, as like in our experience, it's really good, right? And there are other environments that are like not as good, right? So, if you
yeah,
want to build a product that is based that is like stitching into these chat experiences, then you also need to be like very careful about the user experience there.
yeah, 100%. Um, okay, last question. So if you for the audience and people later on watching on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. What is the one advice from each one of you? To give to the users, to the people that are engineers that are building analytical agents. What is that one advice, Dominik?
I mean, we talked about the stuff a little bit already. So definitely have a proper QA, right? So especially when you are using this in an agentic environment, like you need to like cater for like different corner cases. Like you need to be aware that the answer might not look like as you expect this. So have a proper, like, invest into a proper QA environment, right? And then if you want to build for a specific use case, or like you have some user experience in mind, right? For example, you want to surface the data through a chat experience, you should optimize for specific use cases. So just trying to solve everything will probably not work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Uday?
Yeah, I think definitely my day-to-day work, at least when using AI, I definitely recommend using it as a co-collaborator rather than you constantly have to ask questions why it's generating something, especially like if you're doing, building a platform or a tool and so on. I'd use it more as a co-collaborator rather than delegate it and come back 10 minutes later and everything will work. Maybe that will change in the future, but at least in the current state of LLMs, it's massive productivity boost. Just using it for coding, design, even documentation, especially documentation. Just even bouncing ideas off of it, like it tries to please you every step of the way generally.
Yeah,
maybe
I think that's how they were trained, how they were designed. It's just right to agree, right? That boosts usage. So
yep, exactly.
That makes sense. How is that cloud thing going? Are you still doing
the Claude one? Yeah. Let me. I was trying to get that going.
I saw your mouse were like moving in.
Yeah, this thing. It would be cool to show you guys. I need to connect to it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it might take me a second to connect here. But we had a use case where we essentially, you can have an AEO audit command even, and then you run the AEO audit command and it calls all your tools, knows what to ask, and essentially, I'm gonna try and generate it. It may or may not work, so this is a live demo. Connections.
Yeah, we see ChatGPT, by the way.
Let me.
You can reshare when you're ready. Show the other screen.
Okay, let me try that. So this should be. Hope you can see this guy. Can you see the connector? Actually, I'm gonna reconnect here.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm hoping that worked. That should be showing perfect. So let's see if this okay. So this should start triggering. Okay. I'm gonna look up my organization account. AI brand insights.
Oh.
We try the main conductor. I'll say try account 13226. Let's just try that. It's valid. It maps to yes, please. Brands, market share. So it goes, hits the endpoints, makes a request. I think we want to see the dashboarding solution here, right? And while that's doing that, Cowork actually had some pretty interesting. Okay, here we go. I need to generate this as an exec report and also create pie chart, right? So what this does, Claude is amazing at this specific piece where, can you guys see this? Like it's generating.
Yeah.
Cool. So it actually creates what it calls as an artifact. But what they're doing under the hood, they're just writing React, and they have really nice style sheets. They even generate the styles on the fly. It should spit out something fairly quickly. But since we asked for exec report, it'll probably try to be super detailed. But hopefully it shows like a really beautiful report. But as you can see right here, right, like this is something Dominik was mentioning before. You see how much time it took to generate this, and it's on demand. While it is on demand and kind of close to near real time, but doing this every time is tedious versus just click a dashboard.
It is a lot of talk.
Right. But,
that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's really nice. Like it does. And the really cool thing is if you can even do I don't know how much time we have. Sorry. Let's stop me.
The longest webinar I've run was I think like 95 minutes or something.
Okay, cool. So okay. So I don't know if you guys spotted that here, but where's that? So we saw the chart here, right?
Yep.
Creates all this beautiful stuff. You can change it on the fly. Cowork, this is where, so I can say we have a AO audit command here, where you can basically, what this command does is we just gave Cowork the simple MD file to give it context on all our tools, what it does, capabilities. And we asked the agent to, go do a whole AI audit on my property. And this thing will go run us all these skills, and eventually it'll generate like a 3-page exec report, like you could present to your execs kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, like we were mentioning before, this is where we haven't validated how much it hallucinates those reports and so on. At least on the prompt response test side of things, there's a lot of accuracy we can provide with our API response. For sure, you should get decimal level response if the request is correct, but and there's more validation here. But yeah, it'll just run through it. It'll take 2 or 3 minutes and spit out like a nice audit report.
So like the main difference between this and what we saw in ChatGPT and what we saw in just a chat here, right, is instead of like human calling is other LLM calling this, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, it's basically like using the API to provide context for other agents, other LLMs to create cloud code with that.
Yeah, it's more like in chat, right? We have the power as a user. You have this option. I want a different thing. Show me this report for some other date. So the user is prompting, but here it's purely agentic workflow where you just have a command, and the command is supposed to do like 5 specific things. The agent goes off on its own and creates like a 5-step process and does that. So kind of like a more automated use case. But yeah, I guess it's supposed to. Okay, I forgot to do this. All engines. Okay, I think I forgot to do that, so that's why.
It's gonna call an API. It's gonna call CelerData and ask for that, and
Exactly.
provide
So that's the big.
context for that LLM.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we
curate
could open the CelerData dashboard and we should see the queries there. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that if there's time, but. Yeah. but yeah, that's a great. All of this, the backbone for all of this query is actually the CelerData startups.
Yeah.
That this speed would not be possible if you're running on, like, at least from what we have seen on other query engines. So.
And also, you need like all shapes of query, right?
Exactly.
If you cannot do drawing, that's nothing can be like dependent on pre-processing for this.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very on the fly data. Aggregations that we're doing. Absolutely. But yeah, this takes a while, but it should spit out. It's like purely agentic versus like fast.
Yeah, it's agent calling agents, calling API, calling CelerData.
Yeah. Agent calls the MCP calls the data API calls CelerData does all the fast, scalable query responses, and then we return the response back from API to MCP to agent.
It's just amazing like how many use cases how many crazy things we can do now.
Yep. It's almost limitless. Yeah.
AI brand insights.
Yeah, this part is slow because it takes
it's gonna
the agent even though the request response is pretty quick, so you can see we requested, you should have gotten the response, but it does a bunch of thinking on its own. Like this, it has to do this whole 5-step process. I wish I could show you. It was somewhere over here where we had a report pre-generated. I'll try to find it. But yeah. Anyway.
It's okay. This is really cool.
Yep.
And none of this were scripted, by the way.
No, we're just like literally doing.
Yeah, none of this was scripted.
Yeah, like if you want to in the chat, if you want to show me this for month of. We have weekly aggregation. So last week of December 2025 for top 10 prompts, right? Just some and so on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is one of the things we have seen with Claude is you need to have a good plan where you don't run out of credits. You run out of credits.
I think this is the context length, right? That was too long for context.
Yeah, it can be like depending on your plan, like how many credits you have, you may run out of it. So
you have in Claude you have daily and weekly limits, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like 5 hours.
And your context window is per session is also limited.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the code work at least Cloud Code can compact, right? Compact your history.
Yep. Oh, here we go. It finished it. The agent.
Oh, nice.
The other one it's
compiling. Yeah, it's last stage now. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it showed us some results, executive summary, Apple. I guess we picked an account I picked this account which has Apple. So it does an executive summary, brand visibility dashboard. You can ask it to print this out in like a nice PPT, PDF. It'll go do the same thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it's doing now. So we go back to this guy. Yeah, this when you see this, it's because we run into plan limits. because co-work's running and so on. So it's just your personal account, like how many tokens you have and limits you run into. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the presentation and probably one of the best demo I've ever seen on a CelerData webinar. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming to this webinar. So thank you so much, you guys, for presenting. Thank you, Dominik. Thank you, Uday.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Yes,
it was a lot of fun. This is probably the most fun we're having the webinar. Thank you so much, and see you guys again next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.